and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pylon First Sound. I am Matt Caraccio, and today we're going to continue our discussion of the various traits that make up the wide receiver position. The subject of our discussion today is going to be Mr. Josh Doctson. The TCU product is 6'2", 202 pounds. He's 23 years of age. He had 79 receptions last year for 1,327 yards and 14 touchdowns. Now, while Josh Doctson would be an exceptional example for many of these traits, we're going to focus today on releases and body control. When evaluating releases, you're really trying to evaluate the wide receiver's ability to handle the initial part of his route within the first 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And when you're talking about releases, some things you want to look for on film are their stance. Is their stance correct? Is it something that's going to give their body the opportunity to perform at the highest level given the situation? And the two situations you're looking at is off coverage versus press coverage. When it's off coverage, you're looking for a sprinter like stance, hands at the chest and held high, a good forward lean, and you want to see a violent first step. They should have almost like they're falling forward, a 75, almost 80% of their weight on their forward feet. Against press coverage, it's pretty much the same looking stance, but they may be standing a little bit straightened up, a little slightly straighter, and their weight should absolutely be more evenly distributed amongst their feet. Because against press coverage, they're trying to avoid or evade the defender and not let that defender jam them at the line of scrimmage. So they've got to be able to move laterally, and they've got to be able to parry or hand fight and get those guys away from them as they're trying to get a clean release. When you're watching a player in off technique, again, you want to see that violent first step and you want to see them accelerating throughout their vertical stem. Against press coverage, the effectiveness that a player exhibits or displays against press coverage is really what separates good players from great players. In the NFL, the coverage is tighter, the athletes are better, and as a wide receiver, you've got to be able to get off the line of scrimmage cleanly and quickly, and usually that's the difference between a play being successful or failing. The one thing against press coverage is you want to see an aggressive wide receiver. It is not a passive position. You want to see a wide receiver attack the defender, not just attack them with speed, but attack them physically. Really get up into that defender, and if they're trying to press them, they want to see good hand fighting skills. You want to see good hands and good footwork. What types of releases do they execute against press coverage? Do they use a speed release? Do they use a single step or double step move? How do they create separation against press coverage? What type of techniques do they use in hand fighting? Do they have a hammer technique where they swat their arm down against the defender in almost a hammer like fashion? Do they rip as almost if they're uppercutting through the defender's armpit and rip through it in order to create separation? Do they slap? Do they pull very much a Karate Kid like wax on, wax off type of move to swat the defender's hands away in order to create separation? Do they swim? Do they swim? Do they push the inside hand away and inside hand away and then try to swim over the defender? Or do they just get violent and they attack them with a two-hand shove and then swim over? These techniques are absolutely crucial, especially at the next level in creating separation. And the better a wide receiver can exhibit these traits now at the collegiate level, the less they need to learn as they move forward. So these are really important things. Inside and outside releases are also crucial. You want to see how they handle the inside and outside releases that are attached to different routes that they run within their plays. You want to see how far off of alignment do they have to get. In other words, how far do they have to deviate from a straight line to get on their routes? And do they, of course, stack up defenders? Do they stack up defenders? Do they get that defender immediately on their back the minute they get off the line of scrimmage? When talking about body control, this is absolutely a great place, and I'm glad Josh Doctson is our subject for this particular discussion. The biggest thing is you want to talk about is what type of technique does the player display at the catch point? That's body control. Now, there's different places where body control and the technique that's used differs, but the biggest thing is you have to be focused, and a player that has good flexibility is going to end up being one of the most successful prospects in this particular trait. Catch radius is something that's attached to body control because when you're talking about catch radius is a direct result of the previous two things I spoke of: focus and flexibility. Having good body position is a very key element to being good with your body, exhibiting body control. Being able to frame the football with your shoulders and your hands in jump ball situations puts you as a receiver in the best position to win the football. High pointing the ball. How does the receiver high point the football? Are they able to fluidly and without losing speed gather and leap to grab the football over the opposing defender? Or do they have to really significantly slow down and really let that defender catch up and contest the situation, whereas some players may not have to do that? What do they have to do? Do they extend beyond their frame to make catches? Can they make that back hip type of catch? Very much what you see when you're looking at slanting or crossing routes. Can they actually extend back and make that hip catch without losing speed? Along the sideline is an excellent place to evaluate body control as well. Can they keep their feet in bounds? Do they have good spatial awareness? Because spatial awareness is really a subset of focus. Over the middle of the field, you want to see that a receiver can make receptions in high traffic areas and with eminent contact, because the ability to get your body in the right position to withstand contact is really part and parcel to body control as a trait. So you try to evaluate those areas and say, how are they doing catching the football in those areas? Do they have good body control? Can they get that defender on their back? And of course, in critical situations where focus needs to be at its highest, third down, in the red zone, when there's traffic, when there are arms flailing, when the crucial time is near for a good player to be at his best, how do they perform? So, as we get into some film study, just a reminder, the videos reviewed here are not hosted on the server, and the original video content is not considered the property of myself or Inside the Pylon. The videos are considered to be used under the fair use doctrine of the United States copyright law, Title 17, U.S. Code sections 107 through 118. Videos are used for editorial and educational purposes only, and myself and Inside the Pylon do not claim ownership of any original video content. Inside the Pylon and myself do not use said video clips in advertisements, marketing, or for direct financial gain. All video content in each clip is considered owned by the individual broadcast companies. All right, so let's get right into it. So we're looking at a situation here where the ball is on the left hash mark. It's 3rd and 8. And we can clearly see as we run this film, if we actually start going in a little bit in slow motion, we can see that the focus right here of this defender is on Josh Doctson. And you can see down here, the focus is on the opposing receiver. So, as we watch the film unfold, you could see how this defender's head is right on the receiver. You could see this defender's head on right on the receiver. So we know with the single high safety that we're looking at a cover one situation, and we know that we're going to have man on man here. And I'm sure right now Trayvon Boykin knows that as well. So let's see how this unfolds. One of the things we want to look at is this is off coverage. So we want to look to see initially how Josh Doctson gets off the line of scrimmage. And one of the things I want you to notice is notice how when he starts the play at the snap of the football, do you see how he sinks? Look at how he sinks, right? That sink shouldn't happen. That's called false stepping. Now, it means very little because it's ever so slight, and I'm pretty sure the play is already calibrated to account for that type of timing. But at the NFL level, he's not going to be able to have that split second. He's going to want every second he can to get off the line of scrimmage. I love how once his body is in the right position, he's accelerating, good forward body lean, accelerating through, breaking down the defender's cushion. And this defender is absolutely in retreat mode because one of the biggest things that you can do against off coverage is threaten vertically. get on top of that defender. And Josh Doctson just does a great job doing it. So as you can see, as he's running this route, one thing I want you to notice is the ball is now up in the air and boom. Notice how there's a lot of hand fighting going on. This is what we call the red line, right? That little area off to the sideline. It's the wide receiver's job to maintain the width of the throwing lane. And it's up to him to make sure he can go and get that football and give the quarterback an area to do that. So he jumps up in the air, makes the catch, and he's pushed out of bounds. Now we're going to see this in slow motion again. I think they're going to go back and give us a replay. And again, look at the hand fighting. Now, right there. In terms of body control, I would say that his awareness in this play relative to the sideline was a little bit lacking, but look at how he gets his shoulders square. He's focused on the football coming in. He's got his hands ready to backstop the football and make the catch. So, from a body control standpoint, outside of the awareness of the sideline, he's put his body in outstanding position to make the reception. And he's able to do that so fluidly. I mean, there's no gather. There is no gather here. As he goes up, boom. There's no gather. It's just up, and he's able to contort his body in the air to stay square and make that reception. Outstanding, outstanding body control. Okay, so this is a 2nd and 10 situation. You're on the left hash mark. It's an empty backfield. You've got a bunch set at the bottom of the screen, and then you've got Josh Doctson and another receiver at the top. Josh Doctson is off the line of scrimmage, and based on the body language of the defenders, specifically looking at the outside cornerbacks and the free safety, it looks like this is going to be some type of zone coverage. You could specifically notice how the heads of the defenders are a little bit more towards the line of scrimmage into the backfield, meaning they're staring at the cornerbacks. And it seems as if they have this linebacker or defensive back out here covering Josh Doctson. And we're going to see what happens from here. So let's let the play run and let's see the outcome. So let's take another look at that play. Here's Josh Doctson. He's coming off the line of scrimmage. I want you to notice as he's coming off the line of scrimmage, again, we see that same false stepping, that sudden crouch before he explodes out of his stance. Now, you could say that that's something that is just normal, but against defenders at the next level, he should already be getting vertical on that first step. That slight hesitation there, right there, this is what Josh Doxson's starting stance should probably look like. Because right here, he can get immediately vertical on his next step. And notice in this route, he does a nice job. It's zone coverage. He's able to see that he's going to have an area to work with. And what he does here, I love this, right there. He expands the zone of the opposing defender. He takes that jab step outside and he creates even a wider lane for himself. He creates a wider area for the quarterback to throw into. Gets him outside, even though that's the defender's responsibility, it just clears him faster and allows him to settle down right there behind the actual scoreboard. It lets him settle down so this pass can be delivered. As he's coming down to go and get that football, he's coming back down. He's looking to high point the football. That's everything you want to see when you're talking about body control. He's getting his shoulders square. His arms are getting ready to catch the football. He focuses, and then he's able to get upfield, and he's got good awareness to get the first down for his team. One thing that I don't love, and you'll see this right here, as the football's coming in and he's charging back, notice how he elevates off the ground. I'm not a big fan of that. Even though it's outstanding body control, if you get off the ground, you lose the ability to make plays upfield after the catch. And I'm not entirely sure if I would classify this somewhat errant pass as one that necessitates a jump in order to catch. And that's something that could really impede yards after catch. But still, just an outstanding play and display of body control as well as awareness of zone coverage. It was really just a very nice play. Okay, here's another opportunity to take a look at Josh Doctson, and it's 1st and 10. We're in the red zone, and we're on the right hash mark. And this is a situation where it's going to be cover one, and the play is going to be a play action pass, and it's going to be a nice opportunity to see how Josh Doctson handles contact at the line of scrimmage. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now at alignment, you notice that the defensive back is pretty much within 5 yards of Josh Doctson. And given the fact that we're in the red zone, Josh Doxson's probably expecting contact to occur at some point within the first 5 yards. So let's see how he manages that. We'll run through the play, then we'll come back and take a look. Okay, so let's walk through this play. If you take a look at the alignment of the defender, he's pretty much equal and square. And as Josh Doxson gets off the line of scrimmage, let's take a look at what he does. Notice at the snap of the football, Josh Doxson is kind of preparing himself for contact here with the defender. I think he should be going at the defender a little bit more because, again, the biggest weapon that a wide receiver possesses is his ability to threaten the vertical route. To being able to threaten deep keeps this defender uncomfortable and on his heels. So he pulls up slightly when I think he should kind of be accelerating. Even though he expects contact, that momentum that he's generating should allow him to really attack that defender and not have to change his body position too much. He's expecting contact. Notice how that arm is getting out there. This is how he snuggles or kind of creates space. He's framing the defender, keeping the defender away from his body. He's showing good body lean here. He's fighting to maintain the red line. But if you notice, the defender's doing a great job really making it tough for Josh Doxson to maintain that separation, that width of the throwing lane along the sideline. And this is an area of Josh Doxson's game that I think is going to require a little bit of attention at the next level. Strong defensive backs are going to really give him a little bit of a run for his money when it comes to playing on the outside and in those compressed areas because notice once the football gets up there, he's able to slip away from defenders, and he shows really an excellent second gear here. He almost shows another gear getting away from the defender when this ball's in the air. This is absolutely something that makes him such a special prospect. But again, just going back to it, right there, he's got to be able to maintain separation and not hurt his quarterback's opportunity to really throw into this area. Because if this defender, let's say it was a cover two situation and it was cover two with man underneath, and they're not bringing pressure here, well, that's a situation where it's going to be really tough for there to be any throwing lane for the quarterback to kind of attack. So here's an opportunity to see this in slow motion at the line of scrimmage. You could see the inside leverage, right, played by the defender. He's really very balanced off, actually. And notice as Josh Doxson progresses through this, again, you could see it right here. He's accelerating. He gets off the line of scrimmage, got that good forward body lean, and then he pulls up. He's pulling up slightly because he's trying to threaten inside to widen the defender, which I like. I love that. But I wish he would have had that good forward body lean a little bit longer. If he would have pressed that defensive back vertically a little bit more, and then he starts breaking outside, gets his arm out nicely, is making sure that that defender doesn't get anywhere near him. The defender gets a little bit of his shoulder, but notice how that inside arm is fighting, trying to swat that defender away. And if you notice, he's a little slow to do it. And it's the reason why he's getting pushed outside. And when his shoulders are turned, it's hard for him to maintain his speed. But the minute the defender's hand is released, notice how there's another gear in him. Boom, to go get that football. And that's why it ends in a touchdown. Okay, here we are, 1st and 10. We have Josh Doctson. He's at the top of the screen. The ball is on the right hash mark. We're looking at a situation where he's basically on the top of the numbers. And we're trying to figure out exactly what type of coverage they're in. And if you notice the defensive backs, it's looking like a cover four look. So the first thing that Josh is going to want to do is he's going to want to really attack that cushion of the defender. And let's go ahead and see how this play plays out. And then we'll come back and take a look. This is an excellent play. He gets off the line of scrimmage, and you're going to notice right at the top, boom, there's a little bit of a collision there as that defensive back is just literally shoving Josh Doctson to throw off the timing of the route. But he does a nice job of staying clean, keeping himself in time, good tempo, and he's able to get there behind the linebackers. And Boykin makes a tremendous throw. And look at Josh Doxson's body control as he makes this reception. Look how he's able to just go up, contort himself, twist in the air, frame the football, concentration. He's expecting contact, and yet he's still able to make the reception. The concentration level here is so important when evaluating body control. You can see his head never deviates from the football, despite this linebacker or defensive back, excuse me, making a play on the football. He's tackling him, and yet he just doesn't even care. He's over the middle of the field, eminent contact, and he's able to make that reception with great body control. What an outstanding play. All right, here we go. It's 2nd and 10. We're in the second quarter. And you notice that the defenders are straight up over the actual wide receivers. It's an empty backfield on the right hash mark. This screams pre-snap read of blitz. Looks like they're going to bring the house. And if you look at the line of scrimmage, you can see it looks like everybody's coming. But if you notice, what's going to happen post snap is you're going to see how the linebackers drop out in coverage. And what's really nice about this play is the way in which Josh Doctson and Trayvon Boykin work together in order to create a rather big opportunity for TCU. They recognize the zone and they're able to make a play that gets big yardage. Let's check it out and then we'll go through it. All right, so here we go. Right off the line of scrimmage, he's got good body lean as he accelerates. And notice right there, Trayvon Boykin sees this linebacker sinking off. Josh Doctson sees it as well, and he realizes that at this point he's crossed the face of his defender, so he's got to be ready to be throwing that ball and leading him into open field. And when he does that, you'll see he adjusts his route slightly. This looks like it was a levels concept, and Josh Doctson kind of breaks it off down the middle of the field, and Boykin hits him in stride, except it's a little bit misplaced. It's at a low back part of his hip. And notice how Doxson's able to adjust very quickly and make that reception. We're going to get a good view of it right now in slow motion. And again, look at what we're seeing here. Total pre-snap read of blitz. Boykin makes a great decision to throw this football. And if you notice, there's no room here to throw that football. But he sees that these guys are in underneath coverage, and he knows that he's going to have an opportunity right around where the referee is to throw that football. And you can see he's almost winding up right now. He's made his decision, and he's already attacking it. I wish this ball would have been thrown out a little bit more ahead of Josh Doctson, but if you notice right there, look at how he's going low to grab that football. He's adjusting. It shows great body control and flexibility to be able to catch a football thrown outside of your framework. This is a football that really challenges a wide receiver's concentration and catch radius because look at all these defenders around him. Look at all those different obstacles in terms of vision that he has to navigate while still making that reception. Really outstanding display of catching the football and a really good read by Trayvon Boykin. Right there, you could just see it. Body, momentum, flat out breaking out towards the post, and he's got to be able to adjust midstream, keep his eyes on the football while this arm is flying over the flight path and still make that reception and secure it to the ground. Here we are. It's 1st and goal. We're in the red zone. The defense is showing blitz. They're four across, and we're looking at a situation where the offense is on the left hash mark, and pretty much Josh Doctson at the top of the screen has a lot of field to work with. He's going to run a slant route, and I want you to take a look at his body control, and I want you to take a look at how he finishes the play. Outstanding job. He finishes with a touchdown. And notice as we run through this play, take a look at first, obviously, his release. Does a great job. He's really exploding out of his stance. He's definitely trying to sell a little bit of that vertical. And now he breaks off on his slant route. And notice how he adjusts to the football. He's able to make that back hip catch that we talked about and still maintain his balance and his speed and work and fight his way into the end zone. That just shows, again, outstanding flexibility in the upper torso, great concentration as a receiver, really nice play by Josh Doctson. As we unpack this play, he basically runs his route, slants it across, crosses the face of the defender, and the ball. Again, this is what makes Josh Doctson, I think, so valuable as a receiver at the next level. I don't think we've seen a perfect pass by Trayvon Boykin throughout this game. And again, that's not a shot at Trayvon Boykin. It's the reality of the situation, which is sometimes a quarterback is not going to be able to throw the perfect football. Sometimes there's going to be pressure and they've got to adjust and make throws on the move. And Trayvon Boykin had to do that a number of times this game. But when you have a receiver like Josh Doctson, you just know that the football's going to be caught. I mean, look at this body control again. The thing that makes him so interesting is the way he can just get up, instantaneously elevate, and contort his body to make himself perfectly frame the football. If he couldn't frame the football, if he's like a receiver that has less flexibility and he can't turn this way, his reliability in these situations becomes very suspect. It's hard then to make those types of receptions because you're not able to see the football into your hands. You can't grasp the football and hold on through contact. You're not able to get both hands on the football. So Josh Doctson is really adept at doing that. What another outstanding play. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Josh Doctson, and I hope you've gotten a good feel for things to look for when evaluating releases and body control in a wide receiver. Just a point about releases. This would very much be an incomplete evaluation of Josh Doctson's ability to release at the line of scrimmage. We really only saw one play where a defender really challenged him at the line of scrimmage. And in that situation, Josh Doctson was absolutely successful in getting some separation. However, that defender was able to keep his hand on him and push him towards the sideline. And that's something that's going to happen more frequently than not at the next level. So when you evaluate his releases, it's going to be something that as an evaluator, I would say I need more footage. Unfortunately, playing off coverage in the collegiate level is something that happens very frequently. And all the film available for Josh Doctson, he's playing against off coverage. And why not? People were scared to death of him getting on the top of their defense and making plays downfield. So, as we kind of take Josh Doctson home in this edition, in general, based on prior film and as well as the film we've seen, I would say Josh Doctson's releases are absolutely solid. I like the way he gets off the line of scrimmage against off coverage. I think his stance is very correctable at the next level, and I think that's something that's going to add some dynamic nature to his game. I like how he accelerates throughout his vertical stem. At times, he'll slightly pull up, but I do think that he has an awareness of how to use his lower body and upper body in order to create separation. In terms of his body control, a rare to elite body control wide receiver. There are just not many players, even at the next level, that can contort their body in those ways. And Josh Doctson is able to do it fluidly without losing speed. He always shows tremendous focus on catching the football, and he really does a great job of making those catches when they count the most. The only thing that offsets his body control is his physique. He is 6'2". He plays every inch of that in terms of his length. He can high point the football very well, but he is 202 pounds. He needs to put on a little bit more organic armor to make sure he can really withstand the physical jockeying back and forth between defensive backs and himself at the next level. I just want to thank you for joining me in this edition of Inside the Pylon First Sound and really taking a look at how to evaluate releases and body control. Again, I'm learning just as much as the next guy, and I'm just really trying to share with you everything that I have learned. If you've got any comments, thoughts, insights, please don't hesitate to contact me through Twitter. I'd be really interested in listening to what you've observed in film that helps inform any of these traits that we've discussed. So, again, I just want to thank you and join me next time on another edition of Inside the Pylon First Sound.